Telecom giant PLDT welcomes the entry of Mislatel Consortium as the third provisional telco in the country. In a statement, PLDT noted how the telecoms industry is liberalized and how competition can be beneficial to consumers, the industry, and the country. Meanwhile, the camp of former Ilocos Sur Governor Chavit Singson is set to file a case against the Udena China Telecom Consortium, saying the company's entry into the telco industry breaches a binding agreement with Digifil Technology. One news correspondent, Bim Santos, comes to us live to tell us more about what happened. Bim, could you expound a bit more on this provisional award? What exactly does that mean? And given the appeal vowed by the two other bidders, how much uncertainty remains ahead?
So, regardless of the motions that were filed today, the motions for reconsideration that the other parties intend to file, the rules state that after the first day of screening, the winning bidder will be declared as the provisional new major player. This will after the initial selection that was concluded today. The rules state that the provisional new major player will undergo a 3-day evaluation of their submitted documents. So that means possibly by next week, the provisional new major player may be declared as the actual new major player. So, in consideration of the motions for reconsideration that the disqualified bidders are planning to file, the NTC said earlier that those motions may also be decided upon before the actual proclamation of the provisional new major player as the actual NMP.
Okay, now could you expand a bit more also on the technicalities that disqualified the other bidders? PT&T, for example, they didn't seem to have a foreign partner. Did that have anything to do with that?
So, PT&T for one was disqualified after they failed to submit the certification from the NTC of technical requirement. Basically, this technical requirement states that the participant has nationwide telco operation of at least 10 years. So PT&T has been around for about over 10 years, over 50 years, if I'm not mistaken. But for some reason, they have not qualified. Their operations were not deemed on a nationwide footprint by the NTC. On the other hand, Sir Telecom, which is composed of Tier 1 and LCS, was unable to post the required 700 million peso participation security, also required to participate in the selection process. So these two disqualified bidders were taken off in the running during the first stage of the selection process early today, both of which also manifested that they plan to file their own respective appeals before the committee.
Okay, given everything, including the appeals, how will all of these affect timelines for when a third telco will actually be offering services?
The timeline states that after the provisional tag will be lifted, meaning if and when Udena is actually declared the new major player, they are required to submit a detailed rollout of their 5-year plan. What happened earlier today was they just presented in broad strokes what they aim to achieve in terms of population coverage, speed, and the amount of money that they are planning to spend, both in terms of OPEX and CAPEX. After they are declared the actual NMP, the rules state that they have to submit a detailed rollout plan, which means, and this rollout plan is something that they will be checked on a yearly basis by an independent auditor that will be selected by the NMP on a list provided by the NTC. So meaning there will be a yearly audit. If on actual services or in terms of when subscribers, they could actually onboard subscribers, the DICT is hoping that within a month's time, this new major player could actually start operations following its initial rollout.
Okay, now, Bim, let's assume that the provisional winner will eventually get to a final rollout. What do we know of China Telecom, and what kind of service and what level of service can we expect of this company given its track record?
China Telecom is, for once, a state-owned Chinese company. It is sure to say one of the big boys in China. It is the largest in terms of fixed line. It is the third largest in terms of wireless for mobile. It has been around. It is listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange as well as the New York Stock Exchange. It has considerable footprint in its home territory, and more importantly, it is as mentioned, it is the firm that was been invited by President Duterte before to enter the country. So it has considerable experience in terms of both fixed line and wireless services in China.
Okay, that was Bim Santos of The Big Story. Thank you.